In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Healing Out Loud, Boundaries and Becoming, where we stop pretending and start healing for real. It's your girl, your host Kayla, and welcome my beautiful people and my fellow overthinkers. You are truly all a part of this family. So let's talk boundaries, becoming, and everything it takes to live this life out loud. So today's episode is called Toxic Love Taught Me Boundaries. And I want to be upfront. This story is very personal. It's about me, my past, my heartbreak, my mistakes, and my growth, just like I promised you guys. I'm choosing to be open because I believe vulnerability is how we connect, heal, and learn. And if you're listening, I want you to know none of this is hypothetical and none of this is made up. Only thing that's changed is the names. So Cal is a fake name. Alyssa is also a fake name, but the emotions, the grief, the confusion, and the lessons, and the story is 100% real. So guys, Cal was the kind of guy who could charm anyone and had the habit of surrounding himself with quote unquote just friends who somehow always complicated our relationship. And Alyssa, the one friend who seemed to always show up at the wrong times, always made me question my worth, my emotions, and even my own reality. And this episode is about heartbreak, grief, and the kind of love that confuses you until it teaches you the lesson you really needed, which is love should never make you feel wrong for feeling at all. And yes, this story involves God, because sometimes clarity, peace, and courage don't come from self-reflection alone. Sometimes they come from something bigger than us. A gentle whisper telling you it's time to let go, to move forward, and to honor yourself. The story is raw, messy, funny in hindsight, heartbreaking in real time, and it's all about the moment I finally realized, through grief, faith, and a little divine intervention, that it's time to release what was holding me back. So guys, grab your favorite drink and snack, your journal, maybe even a tissue or two, because today I'm sharing my true story. All of it. The hurt, the humor, the spiritual guidance, and the hard-won boundaries. Today is Toxic Love Taught Me Boundaries. Now, Kyle entered my life the way storms do. Beautiful sky, gentle breeze, and then before you know it, your whole patio furniture is scattered across the neighborhood. Now, he was charming in a way that felt effortless, like he had been practicing charisma in the mirror for years. He had that soft-spoken confidence that made you lean in, that smile that felt like it knew a secret, and a laugh that made you think, well, maybe he's one of the good ones. Boy, was I wrong. But back then, my heart was open. My guard was low, and my intuition was whispering, be careful, while my optimism shouted over it, like, no, he could be the one. Guys, Kyle loved connection, and he thrived on attention. And more importantly, he collected female friends the way grandmas collect ceramic angels, meaning way too many for no reason, in all positions suspiciously so close. And these weren't normal friendships. No healthy boundaries, no respectful distance, and no mutual maturity. Nah, Kyle's female friends were the kind that always felt like they were in the emotional competition with me. And the worst part, they weren't even competing. I was literally the only one fighting for space I should have already had. Guys, there was one who called him bestie, but stared at him like a shirtless fireman in calendar every time. Then there was one who texted goodnight with the heart emoji, like, girl, please. There was one who needed his advice every time Mercury breathed, blinked, or retrograded. Ooh, I can't forget the one who always asked to be on his phone plan. And do you know this guy actually put this girl on his phone plan and was paying the bill? She literally didn't pay a dime. But guys, there's my favorite. There's Alyssa. Miss Just a Friend. Miss Like a Sister. Miss You'll Love Her. And Miss She's Harmless. The grammar and all them explanations was correct, but the logic? Absolutely not. Every time I voiced a concern, Kyle's response came from this gaslighting for dummies handbook. Like, guys, have you ever heard you're overreacting? You're emotional. We've been friends forever. It's not that deep. Yeah. Gaslighting for dummies. And like a fool with a big heart and the tiny boundaries, I let it slide. And it's not because I didn't see the red flags. I mean, I saw them. They were in neon, waving, like they formed a Broadway chorus line. But guys, I stayed because Kyle had just enough sweetness sprinkled between the toxicity to keep me hopeful. Because toxic people aren't awful 24/7. The danger is that they're good just enough for times for you to question the bad ones. But little did I know, Kyle wasn't done showing me who he really was. And I wasn't done ignoring it. Now let's get to the juicy part of the story. Guys, grief is a strange creature. You know, it sits quietly for months, even years, and then suddenly it taps you on the shoulder like, hey, bestie, remember me? And I know you're probably wondering, why am I speaking on grief? Well, guys, my father has been gone for years. And that's a whole nother story that I'm going to save for another episode next month for his birthday, which I'm excited about. But let's focus on this story. So this was a night that I just was grieving my father, and I was missing him, like just really missing him. And I was on my bed, knees pulled to my chest, eyes wet. I'm not sobbing, but just unraveling. And surprisingly, Kyle was right there. And for once, he seemed present. His arms were around me. His voice was soft and encouraging. His energy just felt warm. And for a moment, I truly thought, maybe I'm actually safe here. Then, just like a demon in the night, his phone buzzed. And you'll guess who it was? His bestie, Alyssa, calling. Now, he did ignore it once, and he ignored it twice. But the third time came, and he sighed dramatically as if he was the one grieving. And do you know, he looked at me and said, I probably should answer. It might be important. Like, important? For what, sir? Do you literally not see that I'm grieving my father on your shoulder? But I was in a toxic relationship, and all I said was, please, just not right now. And guys, he hesitated and answered anyway. And he sat there for like minutes, but felt like an hour, laughing and chatting. I mean, he was giving this woman so much attention. He was being emotionally available for a woman who wasn't even going through anything. And by the time he hung up, I was just quiet. I mean, I'm crying, but just silent cry. And guys, he had the nerve to look annoyed and say to me, you act like she ruined something. You're being too sensitive. My heart didn't break, but it solidified. Because in that moment, I truly learned some men aren't emotionally unavailable. They're just emotionally available to everyone except you. And that was the night the relationship truly cracked. But the final break, now that came from God himself. So that following Sunday, I went to church with the heaviness in my chest and confusion just swirling all around me. And guys, the sanctuary just felt so thick, and the air felt like it was holding something so sacred, and I needed it. And I'll never forget, my pastor preached a sermon titled, Let It Go So You Can Grow. First, he said, some of you are holding on to people who can't go where God is taking you. They were good for a season, but they're choking your purpose now. Now, I felt that first thing. But then he said, God can't bless the ground you stand on if your feet are planted in the past. And that hit a little bit harder, I'll be honest. And finally, he said, if someone makes you feel small, that's not love, that's a sign. Now, at this point, the message wasn't even a sermon anymore. I mean, it was a direct FaceTime between me and God. And when altar call came, I stepped forward, and literally it felt like something just pulled me forward, really. I cried, and not just from pain, but from the clarity and realization and release. And in the quiet moment at the altar, I could hear God whisper into my spirit, let him go. Not with anger, not with punishment, just truth. Pure, simple truth. And after service, I stepped outside, and the sunlight was warm, and I knew exactly what I had to do. So I picked up the phone, I called Kyle, and of course, it went straight to voicemail, but that was perfect, because I left one final message. Kyle, I'm letting this go, and I'm letting you go. I deserve more than what you've been doing. So goodbye. And in that moment, truly my spirit just exhaled. Now afterwards, healing wasn't instant. It wasn't cute. And it definitely wasn't the glow up TikTok promised me. Some days I was thriving and other days I was just lying in bed like, why am I sad about someone who couldn't even answer the phone without another woman calling? Healing literally looked like a roller coaster, but slowly the loops got smaller. And I started praying differently. Not the God fix him prayers, but the God fix me for staying ones. I journaled without pretending his behavior made sense. And then finally, I just laughed again. The real kind, guys. And then one day I realized I wasn't crying over Kyle anymore. I was crying over the version of myself who tolerated the bare minimum and then clapped for it like it was a Broadway show. In that moment, that was truly my healing breakthrough. Because it hit me. I wasn't healing from him. I was healing from what I allowed. Once that truth settled in, I had to sit myself down, literally, and ask some hard questions. And let me tell you, asking yourself tough questions is truly humbling. I felt like I was interviewing myself for a job I had already got fired from. But it was necessary because healing without reflection is just an emotional cardio. You're moving, you're sweating, but you're not going anywhere. And that's where this next part came from. This moment where I paused and said, okay, Kayla, you've cried, you've prayed, you've blocked them, but now let's figure out why you stayed in that circus to begin with. So if you're listening right now and thinking, you know what, I might have a Cal or two in my life, don't worry. God loves revealing clowns, gently but clearly. And that's going to lead us into this exercise. And it might just pull back the curtain on some things in your life too. So the exercise is called the 3 doors. So I want y'all guys to find a quiet space and take a couple breaths. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And once you got your mind cleared, I want you to imagine these 3 doors before you. Okay? So first, let's look at door number 1. And it represents the present. And I want you to ask yourself, does this relationship nourish me or drain me? Am I seen or overlooked? Do I feel safe or anxious? And do I feel chosen or optional? And remember, your feelings don't lie, but your fears do. Now let's look at door number 2. And it represents the pattern. And so ask yourself, what keeps hurting you? Do they take accountability? Do they comfort you when you're down? And do your emotions feel welcomed or inconvenient? And remember, patterns tell the story we try to ignore. And lastly, let's look at door number 3. And it represents the future. Ask yourself, who will I become if I stay? Will I lose myself? Will I regret protecting someone who won't protect me? And what would my life look like without this pain? And remember, your future self is watching and they know the truth. So now close your eyes and truly listen to what your soul says. Not your fear, not your desire, but your soul. And here's the truth no one wants to admit. If door number 1 felt heavy, your heart already knows it's not enough. If door number 2 showed you a cycle, that means you've been rationalizing patterns that aren't changing. And if door number 3 terrified you, it's truly because you already know staying won't save you. Listen, you don't need permission to walk away. You don't need proof that someone is bad enough. And you definitely don't need a dramatic ending to justify your peace. Because sometimes God whispers, let go before anything collapses to save you from the collapse. And here's 5 things that I learned that love should not be. Love should not confuse you. Love should not compete with outside attention. Love should not call you sensitive for having emotions. Love should not turn your grief into inconvenience. And love should not make excuses for why it cannot show up. Guys, you're not asking for too much. You're just asking the wrong person. Pain is a messenger. Patterns are teachers. And fear is a compass pointing toward freedom. And when God whispers, let go, that means something better has already begun. Guys, Kyle wasn't my forever. Hell, he wasn't even my meant to be. He truly was just a lesson. And he was the definition of toxic love. The kind that feels sweet enough to make you stay. The kind of love that makes you feel wrong for feeling at all. And the kind that masks neglect and dismissal with just enough attention to keep you hopeful. Toxic love. Leaving him wasn't losing love, though. It was recognizing what love should feel like, which was safe, nurturing, and respectful. It was finding myself again. It was understanding that boundaries are not walls to push people away, but they're fences that protect your soul from toxic love disguised as affection. Kyle and Alyssa, now they are my past. Their story is part of my history. A chapter full of lessons, tears, and growth, but they are not my present, and they definitely aren't my future. My future is mine. It's a brighter, freer, more intentional life, and a life where my peace, my joy, and my spiritual growth take center stage. A life where I set the rules for my heart, honor my boundaries, and walk in the freedom I've been given. And a life where I am whole, complete, and fully responsible for my own happiness. Now I want y'all to hear this. You don't need someone to validate your pain. You don't need someone to prove they love you if their actions consistently hurt you. And you don't need drama or apologies just to justify staying. You only need courage. Courage to honor yourself and courage to listen when God whispers, soft, firmly, clearly, that it's time to let go. And for me, that moment came at the altar. Tears streaming, hands trembling, and my heart wide open. And God just whispered, let him go. And I did. I hung up that final call and released a relationship that could not honor me. And in that release, I found freedom, peace, and clarity I had never known. Toxic love can be seductive, and it can feel familiar, intense, and even meaningful. But love that hurts, love that diminishes, love that competes with your grief on your boundaries is not love. It's a lesson. So if your heart is stirring while you're listening, guys, that's not a coincidence. That's your spirit telling you it's okay to walk away. It's okay to release what no longer serves you. And it's okay to say, I deserve better, and truly mean it. So friend, take a deep breath and write down what you need to let go of. Set the boundaries that protect your peace. Pray, reflect, meditate. Do whatever helps your anchor your soul. Like I said, Kyle and Alyssa, they're my past. My future is mine. It's bright, free, and fully in my hands. And every step I take in faith, self-respect, and intentional living moves me closer to the life I was meant to live. And friend, I want you to walk in it. Honor yourself, protect your heart, and never settle for love that makes you question your worth. And say it with me, guys. That's growth, baby. All right, guys, that is a wrap for today. And again, thank you for showing up for your messy, beautiful, real self, and for being willing to do the work it takes to heal. Guys, make sure you follow the show wherever you listen. And remember, if this episode spoke to your heart, please share it with someone who might need a reminder that they're not alone in this, and just someone who might need a laugh and a little healing. And let's continue this journey of healing. And until then, take care of your energy, protect your peace, and remember, becoming might be messy, but it's also beautiful. You've been listening to Healing Out Loud, Boundaries and Becoming. Keep healing, keep becoming, and keep laughing when life gets messy out loud. It's your girl, your host, Kayla, signing off. And until then, bye. Teach me how to love, and maybe I'll give it up.